Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Addiction Solutions with Roselle. So glad that you could join me again for another episode. As I tell you at the beginning of every show, please tell your family, friends, neighbors, co workers, church members to go to YouTube, type in Addiction Solutions with Roselle, or on my Facebook page, I have the link that you can go to and subscribe to the channel. There's so much information. Subscribing is free. It doesn't cost anything. And you'll be surprised that the information is there that could help you. And so with that, where we left off last week, we were on the forward of my manual. Now, the manual was written to coincide with my first book, 366 Days of Recovery, a guide for the recovering person, my first year in recovery. And so someone encouraged me to write the manual so that would give the family member as well as the recovering person a little guide to what they were dealing with, some of the lingo, some of the definitions and things of this nature. So continuing with the forward, uh, and by the way, the book, 366 Days of Recovery and 365 Days of Recovery, are available through me. So if you give me a call, 810-265-0115, or drop me a message on Facebook or Messenger, and I will give you the instructions on how to obtain the book. And going through me, you will get autographed copies. I still have copies of the book, so that way you don't have to go through a bookstore paying enormous taxes and money of that nature. You can just go through me, and the book is still a bargain. So 366 Days of Recovery, every day had a title, a description of that day, and an inspirational quote at the end. 365 Days was written the same way, title, description of that day, and an inspirational quote. So let's get into the forward of the manual. We'll finish that up. And then next week, we're going to get into the introduction. So here's the forward, the finishing portion of the forward. Some of the questions that will be presented to and answered by me as a recovering person and substance abuse therapist. Does going to support group meetings help to prevent relapse? Can calling a sponsor regularly help prevent relapse? Can a constant reminder of the pain the individual went through prevent relapse? Does recovery require a lot of work? And if an individual relapsed, did the pain come back faster than it did from a previous relapse? These are questions that will be answered in the manual. Now, I want to throw this in. While I was in college, I wrote my thesis on recovery. Yeah, that's what I did at the time. So it was along these lines. I had to do a scale. I had to do a Likert scale to determine, to answer the questions, to see the weight of the questions, and it went along these lines. Does that pain come back faster? So we'll get into that a little further on in the show. As a recovering person and a therapist, I could bore you really with many statistics, charts, and graphs. However, this is not an intent of the manual. The manual is a guide for the addicted person and their family or friends. It is a guide to read to determine if the individual is in the relapse mode. That's all it is. The manual is not a cure all for a complex situation such as addiction. It is a guide and only a guide. I want the reader to look at all 21 topics because there are topics, read the explanation of the topic, and read the inspirational quote at the end of the topic. It will not hurt to read the manual more than once. Trust me, you will not lose your addiction because you read this manual. You will simply gain more knowledge of some key relapse triggers. Many recovering people are on the fence, so to speak. They struggle daily with recovery and relapse. Some of the pain has left their lives and they can see things a little clearer. And they get this idea, one will not hurt. And that thought comes up around holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, good things that happen in our lives. And, we're doing well now. We're doing great. One will not hurt. We must always remember as addicted people that one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. This manual will especially help the family to recognize key elements of a relapse. It will give the family member a chance to call the recovering person's sponsor. It will give the family member a chance to learn some of the lingo that is used in the recovering community, as well in the practicing addiction community. Yeah, you need to know their lingo too. I want the reader to understand that no one is immune from relapse. We all must face our disease one day at a time. Our lives get better. We recognize that we are no longer in the hell we previously escaped. We have accomplished some things. We are reunited with family. We have our job back. We have a bank account. We have nice clothes. We eat well every day. We are driving a nice car. What could possibly go wrong? We are safe from the dereliction and degradation we have escaped. Unfortunately, people relapse. Yours truly, as I told you in the last episode about those pain pills. Yeah, Roselle was, I was riding high. You couldn't tell me anything. Next thing I know, those pills had me by the throat. I couldn't breathe. I had to surrender, and I surrendered. And going on 4.5 years of freedom from pain pills, I can tell you that no one is immune. So finally, I want the family to understand that we are sorry. I'm apologizing to my family, to your family, and to all families. We did not mean to cause you the grief that you are experiencing or have experienced over the years. We have a disease that is progressive, it's incurable, and it is fatal. We have a disease that has tricked us repeatedly. We have disease that starts out so soothing and comforting, and then it turns on us and turns us into something that we did not want to be. I hope that this simple manual can give you some answers to some of the questions that you have had for years. You may never know who to ask about. You now have a manual that is not all inclusive, but it will simply help you out. So, love and peace for me, Roselle. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day.